Welcome to Beyond the Basement, the complete Attack on Titan podcast. In this show, we're not just rewatching, we're going behind the scenes, deep into the anime story, unearthing intrigue, and exploring new theories about the Attack on Titan universe. The majority of each episode is spoiler-free. Then, after a warning, we'll take a few minutes to connect the dots with storylines from future episodes. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, but don't forget, you can join us for the live broadcast Sunday nights on Facebook and watch every episode on YouTube. Links will be in the show notes. With that, let's get into the conversation. Hey! Welcome to Beyond the Basement, to the complete Attack on Titan podcast.
Sometimes I need to get theme music, but anyway.
Y'all need to go find us on YouTube if you have not. YouTube.com/BeyondTheBasementPodcast.
Like
Facebook.com BeyondTheBasementPodcast. Yeah, go
Please.
follow us /like on all these various pages. If you're listening to this, you can watch the episodes there. You can also watch us live Sunday nights, like right now, that this is being recorded right now.
Yes.
And hopefully when
you can
shall
watch
see.
us live on the Facebook.
When season 4 goes live, you will find us.
It's going to be lit.
You will find us right after the episode's launch, the day of, and we will do the podcast.
Lit.
Okay, well,
Yes.
with that, I am one of your hosts. My name, they call me, is Eric-san. Or just Eric.
Arigato, Eric-san.
this over here.
My name is Peter.
My name is Rachel.
And together, with our powers combined,
We are not Captain Planet.
we are not Captain Planet.
Not at all.
Okay, so episode 11. If ever there was an episode that you wanted to call filler, you could call this one that.
Yeah.
Only because it's slightly less action-packed than other episodes that have led up to this one. However, the reason it is not a filler by most anime standards is the fact that it's actually pretty important in progressing the story, and we get to meet and get to know a very important character, Commander Pyxis. General.
Pyxis.
What do they call him? Commander or General? I can't remember.
Commander, yeah.
So we meet Commander Pyxis and kind of gets this.
This episode still moves the story along and sets you up for the next episode.
Exactly.
So it's not
just like
a
random
typical
goofy stuff and
anime
weird.
filler,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it does give you a little bit of intrigue.
Mm-hmm. But it is certainly a connector piece between kind of the storyline that's come before of Eren. Turns out Eren has this ability to turn into a Titan, and they want to kill him for it, but then they don't. It kind of connects between that and all right, so you have this power, can we do something with it?
Yeah.
So that's really the basis of this episode. We kind of open up with Armin going, I can't believe is this real? They're actually going to do this plan, and they are. They're actually going to execute the plan they conceived last time under pressure, which is Eren will turn into a Titan and then grab this large boulder and seal up the wall, and everything's going to be fine. Which is a little haphazard, but they said that would happen. Then we kind of get this. We cut to these soldiers. We cut to a bunch of cadets and soldiers who are freaking out. Well, they're going to send us back in there. We don't want to die. And then Pyxis kind of shows up, and I was like, all right, everybody, you can go home if you want. But if you do, just remember the Titans will follow you and kill your family.
They will eat your children.
great
And you will watch.
Then we cut back to Pyxis with Eren, and they're kind of talking a little bit about a little piece of history, which is interesting because we haven't gotten much of that up to this point in the show. We get a little kind of glimpse into what is considered Titan history. Then let's see here. Then Pyxis kind of gives his full-on plan to the recruits, to all the people who are trying to
Freak out.
trying to leave. And let's see here. He makes this point where he says, if Wall Maria goes, we'll get into this when we get into it. But the basic gist of it is that, listen, if you want to retreat, you can. But your loved ones are going to die. Also, all of humanity basically dies because last time when we had a wall breach, all of the people that were supposed to come, we didn't have enough resources inside of the next wall in to support everybody. So we literally sent people out as population control to go fight. That was the 250,000 that died. And
Which
then
is
he's like,
messed
listen,
up.
we owe them. That's messed up. We owe them. And then anyway, they come up with a plan. Armin comes up with the plan, of course. Armin comes up with the plan. It's like, hey, we're going to distract the Titans this way. Eren plugs the boulder this way. And then kind of our last little stretch is Eren running along with Rico's her name, right? The glasses.
I think so.
I think so.
Getting a little speech from
It's
Rico about what is on his what it depends on him.
It's actually a very moving speech.
It is indeed.
At first, I wanted to smack her in the face, but then it changed, and I was like,
no, she makes a
she's-
very valid point.
she's making me feel my feels.
And then the final scene is there's two final scenes. Is today we reclaim Pyxis declaring like today we reclaim today we have our first actual victory. If we do this, we have our first actual victory against the Titans. We've only ever lost. This will be our first win, which is significant. And then Eren transforms, and while he's transformed, he takes a swing at Mikasa. So we'll dive into why that may be the case.
And then the end.
Yep, boom. Roll credits to be continued. You're binge watching this show anyway. Just go to the next episode. You need to.
This episode is episode 11. It's called Icon. The Battle of Trost, part 347.
It's part 7, actually. But
So with all the episodes, especially the ones that have like one word is the name, there's almost always a good reason. So what was it? Little sword? No, small blade.
Small blade.
Small blade.
The left arm.
Left arm. Like each episode kind of has these they have a title
whereabouts
and then
of
like a
his
longer
lifetime.
subtitle to kind of tell you like what like sort of chapter this is happening in. But the title is usually these like short, mildly
Snippets.
descriptive, but they're actually really clever. And so for this one, I remember we started it and I was like, Icon. I don't even know what that I've seen this episode. What the heck are they talking about? And I realized so an icon is not just like something you click on your desktop, right?
it is
an
not.
icon
What?
an icon is a symbol. It's always representative of something more. And we actually get the word. It is Latin, and it comes from way back in the day when this is church history. I'm a church history nerd, so you're about to get a quick church history lesson. Way back in the day, there was what they call the iconoclastic controversy, or the iconoclast controversy. And it was a split in the church. Now we're talking like I'm trying to think. This is probably like 800s, I think this was going on. This was a long time ago.
Dang.
And the controversy was over whether or not in Christianity it was appropriate to have pictures or icons. They were these small, usually made out of metal, like plates or whatever, that had like engravings on them that were usually representative of saints that came before them. So
Like
Mary, Peter, kind of standard stuff that you might know now, and then a few names that we wouldn't know now. What's his crap from Egypt?
Joseph Arimathea.
Not Joseph Arimathea. He was a 2nd century guy. Helped do the canon. I can't say his name. I did a whole report on him in school. Anyway, not important. The point is that an icon is representative of something. The reason it was a controversy, but the reason I had icons in the first place is because an icon was representative of something that they considered solid or foundational to the faith. So the argument for having these engravings was that this helps us to remember those who were strong as Christians, strong in their faith, and to know that what they believed and the way that they behaved, that's foundational and is kind of like a pillar. That's what this icon represents, is that we should mimic that life, right? And the argument against was, well, you're not supposed to have idols.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Should make no graven image.
theology nerd point there. So the icon is representative of what we should do, like something foundational, something important. Eren is the icon.
Yeah.
In this episode, Eren is the icon. Eren is a symbol. He represents the ability for humanity to strike back and get a win. Maybe.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's something they've never had before.
Is he actually capable of that? It's been in question all of last episode. It's in question this episode. But that is one of the key kind of themes here is, can Eren actually do this? Pyxis basically doesn't care and just sells it like he
gambles
can.
on it.
What a good leader.
He takes a gamble and then acts like he's 100% confident
Total
that this plan
confidence,
will
bro.
work.
Mm-hmm.
I have no doubt.
You can't let the dude smell fear on you. You
Yeah.
gotta, everything you do is confident. That way they're confident and you relieve their fears. And obviously in this whole episode, there's this crazy clamoring fear, which is about to make all the troops run away. All the troops run away. Doesn't matter what Eren can do because he can't do it by himself. He needs all the troops. So Pyxis is using Eren as they did in Hunger Games. The symbol of the Mockingjay was greater than Katniss Everdeen, right?
Mhm.
The symbol of Eren as this new hope, this new power, is a symbol of hope everyone can get behind and say, wait a second, maybe there's something more than just me getting eaten by a Titan.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a chance humanity can win.
So this episode starts off with Armin kind of doing his typical things, like, oh, I didn't think that would work. Kind of mentions, he's like, I didn't think he was going to take this plan seriously. But Pyxis is going to take the plan seriously, and he's like, okay. Eren's like, yeah, I'll do it. I don't know if it'll work, but I'll try, basically. And so Pyxis kind of walks off, and then Armin, Mikasa, and Eren are left there. And Eren makes an extremely interesting comment, and he says, it's clear to me that Pyxis sees what we can't see or what we didn't see. And they're like, what are you talking about? And he says, our only enemy is not the Titans. Eren says, our only enemy is not the Titans.
The Titans are not our only enemy.
And part of this
not
is
only fighting Titans, right?
Part of this is what we're just talking about is, it's something that, they said throughout our own history. We have nothing to fear but fear itself.
Mm-hmm.
Fear can be an enemy. And here, there's the fear of these amazing, huge, nasty, man-eating, hunters who are coming after us, seemingly unstoppable. The fear is also an enemy they have to fight.
Sure.
And so,
Which doesn't Rico say that? Basically, she points that out before they start.
that fear is an enemy.
yeah.
So
There's another
So
plan.
Pyxis is combating that fear with the hope of Eren, the icon, to be able to win the war, to be able for their men to rally behind. And, some of the troops have already seen this firsthand. They've seen Eren transform and beat the hell out of 20 Titans just screaming
Until
and curb
they
stomping.
tore him apart.
Yeah. And so that, I'd be inspired by, heck yeah, now we got this guy on our side. I think John even said, well, at least he's on our side, at least he's fighting against us, right? And so that weapon, that icon, that hope they're using to combat one of their enemies, which is fear, that's not the only enemy they have.
Turns out that Eren is putting the pieces together, which hopefully you, if you're a first timer, we're going to help you get there a little bit if you haven't made this connection already. But the reason this is important is because we have realized officially at this point that it's at least possible for somebody who looks like a human to temporarily become a Titan and have some kind of special power to do that. And Eren is putting the pieces together right here on top of the wall, which is interesting because there's not these last episodes are all taking place within the course of hours, essentially. And so you don't have a lot of downtime to sit down and think and you kind of have to put this together on the fly.
Yeah.
And Eren is sort of putting it together on the fly, and Eren's going, oh, you know what Pyxis sees? Pyxis sees that here I am, a human with a Titan ability, some kind of ability to transform and de-transform, which means maybe I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
So that's your hint for those of you who are first timers.
And this goes right back into the strategy part where Pyxis is saying, hey, right now, we got to go. They even say it amongst the episode is for every minute they're not out there trying to plug the wall, more and more Titans are filling
Wandering in. Yeah.
And maybe some
Who
of those
knows
Titans
which
are going
one,
to try
yeah.
to knock down some additional walls. And if we lose this wall, there's half as much resources behind the final wall, which means that even if we all got there safely, we're all going to die eventually. Humanity is going to be beaten, which means we have to fight. We have to take this wall.
So we're kind of getting this vision of Pyxis as a leader. Again, he's an important character. That's why this is not a filler episode. We start to see him as a leader. We learn that he's the highest ranking officer in what they call the Southern Territory, which is probably where most Titans come from. And anyway, so we get our first cut of Pyxis, and we kind of end that conversation. Then it cuts over to the soldier dude. I think he's next to Marco, right?
He's next to Marco.
And he is losing it. He's like, "We're gonna die!
Absolutely screaming!
Don't send me back into that nightmare!" He's losing his mind.
We're all gonna be eaten,
and
you can't make me go back.
I thought one of the guys had a really good line. It was some more loyal guy turns around and it's like, "Hey, stop that! I'll kill you if you try to run, whatever."
Yeah, he's like, "Fine."
And he's like, he says something. The guy's like, I'm not just gonna be, Titan food. I'm not just a toy to be sent back out there to die, because it's according to his own knowledge of what he's working with, not knowing about Eren, it'd be impossible to retake the entire wall. There's too many Titans. It's they barely got out with their lives, right? And so he's freaking out based on his current knowledge. And the commanding officer guy, whoever he's talking to, says something really interesting. He says, "What about your obligations to humanity as a soldier?"
Yeah, it's a good line. Drops on him.
It's a good line, and
he's like, "F that." I'm scared.
But it really makes you think. Okay, what are our obligations to humanity?
Yeah,
because there's some who would say nothing. The world doesn't owe me nothing. I don't owe the world nothing. I'm gonna do whatever I want, and be a criminal or shoot guns or whatever your, persuasion is. But then there's also some on the opposite side who said, no, we all have an obligation to humanity to do what's right, to act within a civil society, to help each other out. There's a deep kind of thread there running. Where's the balance, right? Where's the freedom and where's the obligation? Where's the truth and where's what we should be doing? And I think it's really interesting. What are our obligations to humanity, and especially as a soldier, someone who can fight?
Because in this case, like they've like with many military forces in the actual world, when you sign up to be a cadet, like you're signing a contract and you're signing kind of an oath. And in this case, humanity is the closest thing you have to a nation. Because at this point, what they call humanity is everybody that they know. I mean, there's
everybody that exists.
Yeah, it's everybody that exists. And what about your duty to them? Which exactly, I mean, it's kind of there's a deeper question there. But especially because like you signed up for this, why are you going to run now? Which a lot could be said about that. It's kind of a deep thought that I keep having. But anyway,
especially if you're the last line, if you're the only thing standing between.
Yeah. So this guy's kind of go nuts, and he starts like basically. He doesn't seem to be doing it intentionally. He starts like kind of stirring up trouble, and you see other soldiers
starts spreading like a disease through
like a coronavirus.
The crowd, people around him start getting jumpy and start becoming emotional, and then this other guy is like trying to coax these girls into screaming and freaking out because they're just kind of whispering at each other at first, and he's like, "Say it louder, scream it louder, so everyone will run, and then we can use the distraction to escape."
Yeah, they start buying toilet paper.
My family gets to have the time that I have left, not these people. And, it's just starts spreading.
So it seems very realistic to me, actually, this idea, like that panic, especially because all these soldiers are just standing around. They don't really know the whole plan yet at this point.
They're like waiting to be addressed. Yeah. They're waiting to be spoken to.
They're all sort of just like standing around. And what's interesting is as they're freaking out, like the one guy who seems a little cool-headed, but is sort of watching it as Jean. He's like, doesn't really speak up a whole lot at this point, but I don't remember what it was. He does say something. He
asked the guy, he said, where would you run if you wouldn't be
he's like, where are you going to go then?
Yeah, he's still ever logical.
So anyway, so they kind of show this little clip. Then we cut back to the top of the wall. And Pyxis and Eren are walking alone.
Pyxis.
And they're having this conversation. And Pyxis says, again, this is a little piece of interesting kind of history. There's a lot of history missing in this show, and you got to wonder why. Seems like nobody knows much of what's kind of, like nobody really knows where the walls came from. It seems like there's not a lot of solid information about.
You're not supposed to talk about what's outside the walls. It's illegal.
Yeah, what happened before that?
How did we get here? How did these
walls
get here? That's all
illegal information.
And so Pyxis says, it is said, or it's, rumored or something. Believed
There's a theory.
By some critics have said. Questions are being raised. He talks like a newscaster. And he basically says, there's kind of this theory out there that before the Titans ruled the world, that humanity was divided up in between races and creeds, and that they fought with one another, like fiercely with each other. And then the Titans are essentially like introduced to give humanity a common enemy so that humanity would become united. And he asks Eren, like, what do you think about that? Like, do you think that's true? And Eren, what does he say? Like, it makes me yawn, actually, or something like that. And he laughs.
Seems kind of naive.
Yeah, he does. And
Pyxis
it makes me yawn. And then Pyxis laughs. And he's like, you're right. It is naive.
Yeah, it's naive to think this, which gives us a little insight, again, into the fact that what is the history? How come people don't know this sort of stuff? What's the whole idea here? Where did the Titans come from? All the questions that you should be asking, as the author, encouraging you to ask them, basically.
Yeah.
And, Eren says that, listen, we have a common, we have the Titans now, and it's hard enough. People aren't united as it stands. And Pyxis responds that you know what, you're right. And if we don't unify soon, it might not be enough. Which
it will be impossible to fight.
If you remember, he's the commander we saw with Lord Wall. This is some episodes back now. He spent some time. He's friendly with the people in the interior. At least he knows who they are. He
seems to have knowledge of history, which is banned knowledge.
He's a high-ranking officer. Pyxis understands the politics of what's going on in humanity, and if anybody could look around and probably have the right perspective to say, okay, people are not united right now, not actually, it's probably him, and he's definitely right. And we've already seen it, right? We've got, within the military, the two different attitudes. many people in the garrison, many people in the military police, like, I just run for my life, just fend for me. And you got a bunch of other people who are like, no, we're loyal, like Eren and Mikasa in the gang are like, no, we're loyal for all humanity and we're in this to win. And a bunch of people are like, no, we're just going to survive. There's these just like varying, completely different like attitudes and ideas about what should be done, who we fighting for, why are we doing this.
And there's divisions even within the military themselves. Think about the garrison units, who everyone's like, you guys are just a bunch of basically like repairmen. You're not even soldiers. There's the two kind of extremes. There's the interior police, right, which are the unicorn guys. Yeah. And all of them are like, we want a cushy job safe. And then there's the scouts who are like, we want to risk our lives to better humanity. We want to see what's outside the walls. There's already tons of division even within the military itself. And this theme is not unique to Attack on Titan. It is, it's the same theme in other movies. And in some movies, it goes really well. Like, think about Independence Day, right? Aliens show up.
Unite the world.
They attack everybody. Unite the world. China is, fighting with, together with Russia alongside as partners and allies, along with the U.S., and we're all fighting. We're all taken down.
Which, if anything, could ever be less true, potentially.
Hey, man, we never know if aliens showed up, right?
If aliens showed up, no, it would get politicized instantly. People would be like, it's Trump's fault.
Think about movies like Arrival.
He called them.
Think about movies like Arrival. Everyone's fighting.
Way more realistic.
Everyone's not sharing information. People are trying to cut each other off and trying to get the advantage, try to get this, weapon for themselves, right? Like, I think that's more realistic, right?
Yep.
But this also is the exact same plot as a series or a movie or a comic book or graphic novel, if you will, called The Watchmen.
I don't know it.
Yeah, it's a really famous graphic novel. It won a bunch of awards. It's very well done, very intense story. And the story is there's a bunch of superheroes. They're not really, none of them are really super. There's only like one of them that actually has powers. They're all just kind of a bunch of Batman wannabes. Less cool. And they're all running
lesser
around.
known superheroes.
They're kind of, but they're well known. And the idea is like they're the new, they're the Watchmen. They're the ones who actually go, and they're the ones who are destroying these, taking on these bad guys. And the idea is like, okay, but who will watch the Watchmen? Who's making sure that they're not taking advantage of the people? And there's all this disunity amongst all the countries, and there's all this like infighting going on, and there's all this terror and panic about the doomsday clock. And kind of it was to reference kind of the nuclear war potential, and everyone's freaking out. And in the midst of all this, the plot, I don't want to give away, I guess, the entire story, but the idea is in the end, somebody does something really wicked in order to unify everybody together and give them a common enemy to fight.
Yeah.
And in that common enemy, the whole world, they say, well, the whole world's unified. So even though I did something really wicked, it brought everybody together.
That's kind of like what they do with Coleman in the Avengers. Like, he dies, and that makes the Avengers actually become the Avengers.
Yeah. So if they all have a common enemy, maybe they want
to avenge him.
They can all fight together. And so, like I said, we see it play out in different movies, different ways. I think it probably would be pretty messy. I don't know. It would be very good, but there's this unity, even though they have a common enemy right now, and how to fight, what's the correct approach. You'd think they'd all be together as humanity. And there's some who want to be Eren and John, and you've got all these people who are like, come on, we're humanity, we're all together. But they're really not. And there's more than just one enemy. And so there's disunity, and if they don't get it all together, bad things are going to happen. Yep.
So they're having this conversation on the wall, Pyxis and Eren, and they walk by an old friend who we just got a glimpse of a couple episodes ago. Hannes, there he is. He's my man. He sees him and is like, oh, Eren, you're alive. You survived. That means Mikasa and Armin must be okay too. He just assumes that, and I'm like, okay, well.
Eren is like,
and
why is he doing that?
I was about to ask you that.
I couldn't figure it out.
Eren
For some reason, Eren keeps like pointing down and looking at Hannes, and
Hannes is on top of the wall
idea.
manning a cannon.
Is he like? Well, Hannes is like, look at that twerp telling me to mind my duties, and I'm like, is he trying to tell him keep your eyes on the Titans?
Like, or is he trying to tell him like, hey, I'm gonna go down there. I have this power now. Or
it's hard to say exactly what Eren is doing.
I think
if anyone cares to comment with their thoughts, that'd be great.
Do. I think we missed some stuff in translation too. There's just no doubt in my mind there are certain like exchanges where we miss
or confused for no
either
reason.
The humor in something, or in this case we may miss like some details just because the translation from Japanese to English isn't quite perfect.
A little wonky.
Not that the translators did a bad job, but that I did I did do a bunch of classes on this. And you don't let me tell you, kids, you don't learn much in college. But here's a thing. Here's a kind of thing that you will learn in college. You'll learn useless information like, well, cultures. Between them, cultures have not just like customs, but the understandings and values that are so unique, and then then those understandings and values are captured in language. So for us, it would be like in English and specifically America, we have these kind of colloquial sayings. A penny saved is a penny earned. That makes sense to us. We understand that as like a saying. What?
Or if you say like, I want to get my creative juices flowing, some people from other countries are like, what juices are you talking about?
Right. So how do you
where do I get this juice? Can I drink it?
That's a better example. How do you translate creative juices to another language and accurately describe what we all culturally understand?
Yeah.
That definitely happens when you translate a show from one language to the other, but it's not just from the language, it's from the Japanese culture to an American culture. So I think maybe that's what happening here. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, so we run into Hannes. Then Pyxis kind of jumps up in front of the troops and explains that they have a plan to recover Trost, which it causes people to freak out even more because they're like, "Wait a second, you're sending us back in there? Like we just got out of the hole."
That's when stuff gets really real.
And he has this clutch technique where he's like, "All right, everybody," because they're all freaking out. He's like, "Hey, no, calm down." He's like, "Listen. Let me introduce you to somebody."
Some of the people are like, we're going to kill you.
Yeah.
If you try to run away.
So Pyxis is like, hey, hold it, let me introduce you to somebody. This is Cadet Eren Yeager. And I'm trying to find his phrase. I wrote it down here. He says, he's a product of cutting-edge technology. Eren Yeager has
research.
The ability, cutting-edge technology and research. Mr. Yeager has the ability to manifest himself as a Titan. And so he's like, selling it like
they know what's up.
We know what's going on.
We did this on purpose.
Yeah. They just found out.
This is part of our plan the whole time.
Yeah, military's got it all under control, guys. Don't even worry about it.
Absolutely.
I am a little bit like impressed and also
the government always takes care of us.
What is
They never tell
happening?
us.
Okay, wait. All right. There's two ways of looking at this. And this
brilliant strategy, but also naughty, slightly naughty.
There's two ways of looking at this particular moment. So, number one is the obvious one, which you should rightfully do. Like, to cast an eye of suspicion, especially in this show, at people in leadership is wise, okay? You should do that in real life, too, by the way.
Yes.
Anybody who's in charge of stuff.
Maybe that's why Pyxis drinks. He knows too much.
Yeah,
he's saying too much.
Anybody who's in charge of stuff, especially if they're in charge of a lot of stuff or in charge of a lot of money and there's a lot at stake, like people in authority, people have the ability to like hide. You should always be suspicious of them, and that's definitely the case in the show. So the one way of looking at it is like, oh, here we go with another like high-ranking guy like lying to people to get some kind of like result or whatever. So like, why would he do that? This sounds, a lot like when they're like, early on in the show when it's like, hey, we're gonna go try and reclaim Wall Rose, which the outer wall, and we're gonna send a bunch of freaking civilians and farmers out there to fight and win.
Like Armin's grandfather.
We got this.
As if they have a chance, and there's been half a dozen examples of that already in the show, and it's like, okay, so he's doing that again. So that's one way of looking at it, or the other way of looking at it, and this is one of my favorite concepts of leadership. I didn't learn this in college. This is something I came up with all on my own, which is that fake it till you make it is a bad plan for everything except for when you're leading people. It's always a fakey. I hate being a phony. I hate fake anything always forever, except for when you are leading people. Because the one thing that you can fake, but has the one way you can be a phony or you can fake something and get not fake results is confidence. And if you don't have confidence, fake that you have it. And I'm telling you, that's how you will actually make it. Yeah. You got a group of people that you need to lead. You need to tell them how to do something. They'll trust you. They'll do it. They'll believe you if you have confidence in yourself. And if you don't actually have that confidence, now's the time to just make it up and pretend like you do. If you go out there and with that face, what happens is you learn a skill, kind of an internal skill of having hope, of having a little bit of faith, of having a little bit of, okay, you know what? I'm going to believe the best here, and I'm going to wear that because that's what's going to give the most peace and the most confidence to the people that are underneath me. Now, surely this could be misused, and it could be unjustified because in this case, maybe you could make that argument because Pyxis doesn't know this is going to work, and maybe he is overselling this. But the point of overselling it right now is he can see the chaos, he can see the fear, he hears people going, "I want to run," and he's like, "No. Have some faith, have some confidence." Pyxis has this faith and confidence. For him, it's essentially a hunch. It's not based on facts. It's not based on reality. For him, it is a intuition that a leader with a lot of experience has. And so he's doing fake it till you make it, but his confidence is real, and the way to portray that confidence is to say something that could be seen as misleading. So
it seems to me like it goes a little bit beyond like a gut instinct. I think he wants so badly to have a victory that he's willing to take this gamble, even though it looks like it might be a horrible idea because there's so many unknown factors at play. They don't know if Eren can actually transform when he wants to. They don't know if they can actually control him when he does. Mm-hmm. They don't know if he's going to lose his mind and forget everything once he transforms.
He can actually lift.
They don't know if he's actually strong enough to lift that massive rock, which it's bigger than I realized.
It's all in question. Yeah, it's huge.
When he transforms, I was like, oh, that's bigger than I realized it was. It's like taller than him.
But there's no risk, no reward. But anyway,
right? The point is, like, Pyxis, it seems to me like he's motivated to get this done because he is so hungry for a victory finally. Because he's an old guy.
Yep.
And he says he's never had a victory his whole life, his whole career. Like, this probably is a 30-year career.
They cut his speech right there. They kind of leave you on the him sort of misleading everybody, and they cut to Armin, which is a cool little scene. They get back to his speech in a second, so we'll go back to it.
Armin pulling an Armin.
True.
Making an amazing plan with like almost nothing, with like an amazing bird's eye view and strategy.
He just like puts it all together so fast.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, we don't actually have to fight all these Titans. In fact, what we can do, because Titans are typically drawn to large groups, we'll just stack this part of the wall with a bunch of humans. All the Titans will come over here away from the rock. Eren, over here around behind, transform into a Titan, grab that rock, plug that hole, and then we can use the cannons.
With just an elite crew. Yeah,
we use the cannons and say, okay, we'll just send some bodyguards with Eren, and that way it's the maximum potential for success, minimum risk. Okay.
Minimum casualties.
Awesome. Armin's already got it all done.
And all the officers up there are like, oh yeah, this is a good plan.
Like this 12-year-old kid, be like, yeah, this 12-year-old kid, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, surely.
Keep him alive.
The Constitution of a Daffodil or whatever.
Yeah. And we flip back then to Pyxis.
Yeah.
As people are all freaking out, like, did they just say Eren could become a Titan?
Oh yeah, they cut to Connie and he was like,
stupid?
Did I just mishear the commander? I think I misheard him.
Yeah, so everyone's freaking out. Nobody kind of really believes it. There's still panic. And people are drawing blades and everything, and they're like, kill the deserters, right? And Pyxis then says, in his like booming, awesome, like bad boy voice, if anybody wants to wish to leave, I will not.
Under my order, you
leave
can't.
Under my orders, you will not be considered a deserter.
And he says, look, in the horrors.
Or charged with treason.
The horrors of the Titan are so serious, right? And everyone was talking about that when the cadets first, joined up. Was like, oh man, have you seen him? Have you seen him?
If you've seen one, it changes you.
Yeah, it changes you, right? So he says, hey, if you've experienced the horrors of the Titans, you're free to leave. And if you want your family to experience the horrors of the Titans, you're free to leave.
You're also free to leave.
Yeah, like, wait, and all of a sudden we see this flashback of like this guy who wants to go home to his daughter, and all he can see is a Titan eating his daughter. Because why?
And she screams, "Daddy!" as it's like putting it in. Oh,
it's horrifying.
It's awful.
This is why brave men in the middle of the night go out and risk their lives to protect what they love, right? Mm-hmm. And so he's charging these soldiers. Look, you guys can retreat. That's totally fine, but everyone's gonna die. This is the last chance what humanity has. We have to fight.
And this
now,
is when he like gets even
victory.
more honest and like really tells them.
It's his William Wallace moment. Man.
It's his William Wallace moment. This is how you know his statement earlier. He says, oh yeah, well, Eren is a part of technology or whatever. He says something to try and like give a little more confidence in the plan with Eren.
Like he's part of this plan all along.
Like is he just another lying government lackey? Whatever. Well, apparently not, because he just comes out and says the quiet part out loud and says, you guys remember when we sent 250,000 people out to go fight the Titans? He's like,
to retake Walrose.
We all knew that wasn't going to work. That was an intent. That was population control. Yeah. We sent them out there to die on purpose, because if we had taken that 250,000 from who were now refugees from Wall Rose and tried to insert all of them into Wall Maria,
we all would have starved.
We all would have starved to death anyway. We'd be fighting and killing each other regardless.
And then they like cut to pictures of people like fighting over food and throwing potatoes at each other and stabbing each other over cheese and stuff like that.
Like, I would stab a man over cheese, given the right circumstances.
What kind of cheese is it we're talking about?
Yeah. I mean, is it Tillamook Swiss?
But I mean, he lays out, he says then, like, we can't support all of the people in this wall, in the smaller wall, which can't even support itself fully right now, which I was like, whoa.
Well, they can't support themselves based on the resources they have within that wall. They rely on the outer...
the outer wall has the most territory. That's where all the farming and stuff happens.
And
right,
for the land and for all this stuff.
I appreciated that he was honest. He's like, the people in there can only support a third of the people in there with the resources inside the wall.
Yeah.
So if we lose these resources, we lose everyone.
Yeah, humanity's going to die.
And he says, we believed a lie. Pyxis says, we believed a lie, and their deaths let us survive. We owe them a debt. Yeah. So he's coming out with the truth here. He's saying, listen, we can face it or we can not face it, but for starters, we owe those 250,000. They essentially got sent out to die so that we can live, and here we are believing a lie, and now here's the actual truth about it, but we should choose to make their lives worth something, which is a very common thread in the show.
Armin saying goodbye to his grandpa, and I was like,
so sad.
My heart.
And then that's when he comes out with the point of, how much the walls can support, and he basically says, listen, if we don't retake Trost right now, and Wall Maria is compromised, we're all dead anyway. So let us go out, and if we die, let us die in battle.
I'm like, all right, let's go, guys.
It's a saga, yeah, man.
That's yeah.
Yeah, it's
I want to get my Spider-Man pants and go right now. Let's go.
Spider-Man pants coming soon. Yeah, we have a debt to pay back to humanity. And man, what choice words. Obviously, he's an eloquent speaker because he also says, we believed a lie. It's like, Pyxis, you were part of the internal government. I mean, you're not one of the internal ones.
You were part of that lie.
He's not the communications director, but...
You may have been the one who made that call. So he didn't say, we lied to you people, and he doesn't separate himself.
He
He's
makes
smart.
himself part of it.
We believed a lie, and we have a debt to pay back to humanity, all of us together. It's uniting everybody, which is what a good leader does. But you're like, hey, a little shady there, but okay, let's go. We together, not you and us, not you guys and then us. We have a debt to pay back to humanity. Let's go. Let's not go fully. Let's fight. If we're gonna die, let's die in battle together. Yep. The troops are like, I dig that with Pyxis. Let's go. All right, man. Let's go.
Nobody really cheers. They all just like stay there and they're like, okay.
Yes, we won't kill each other now.
There's such an interesting focus on this throughout the show that of making the death of a friend or making the death of anyone who's fought for the cause of humanity, quote, worth something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's not to say that the death wouldn't be worth it or that the person who went out and died wouldn't be worth it, but we see it in individuals that, as people are dying, we've already seen a couple soldiers saying that Levi is comforting that one guy, soldier's like dying in his arms. He's like, was I useful? Mm-hmm. Like, did I do something good? Like, was it worth it? The mother who loses her son, episode Moses, 2 or whatever. Yeah, Moses. Like, tell me, like, was his life like worth something?
Was
like, did
he
it amount
useful?
to?
She says the same thing. Yeah.
And
did it contribute to humanity?
And that's when is it Erwin? Who's the one who tells him? Oh no, it's the trainer guy. Keith Sades is the the leader at that point. He's like, no, actually no, it was all for naught. Like, we're not making any progress.
That's when he has his mental breakdown.
Yeah, and this theme is just sewn so hard into the show, especially the first season. It is just like really in there. Are these deaths are you going to let these be worth nothing, or are you going to make them worth something? And it's just such an interesting thing. Like, you just don't find this in other shows. Yeah. That it's a very World War II fight to win kind of mentality. So D-Day is an extremely deadly day in World War II. Everybody kind of knows about D-Day. Oh yeah, they stormed the beaches of Normandy and started the campaign that it took back France and eventually, overcame the entire German army and so on and so forth. That's true. The soldiers going in on D-Day are going to go face like imminent death and danger. A lot of them know that they're going to die.
Massive
but can you not imagine a similar speech being given to those soldiers at that time saying, listen, we've been at war for years. This is June 44, right? Is when they do that. At this point, World War II has been going on since 1939. So we're 5 years into this. You can imagine.
The U.S. wasn't 5 years into it.
U.S. is 42, so only a couple of years, 2.5 years. Anyway, but like, can you not imagine somebody, you know, a captain in a boat giving the same speech saying like, listen, a lot of soldiers died before you for the sake of freedom, for the sake of, you know, for the sake of our brothers and sisters here in Europe, for the sake of all these people, like make their lives worth something, make this whole war effort worth something and go take yet one more risk. This is the big push. If we can do this, like this is our chance to actually win and make it all count. Because otherwise a lot of people died. And we lose, and we all kind of died for nothing. It's just interesting. I don't know that this is like there's any more to it than that, but it's an extremely nuanced way of looking at the value of other people's lives, of what other people have like sown, and to kind of motivate people to go and take risks for themselves. Something we just don't see much of anymore.
Just a flat promotion that, you know, human life is intrinsically valuable. It's just like, wow, that's profound.
Yeah,
right. Thank you. You know,
unusual. Okay, so where were we at in the show here?
They're assembling then.
Right.
The bodyguard squad. The
protect Eren.
Garrisons. Protect Eren at all costs is what they tell them. The top 3 elite of the garrison.
Yeah, so Pyxis is talking to them.
He's telling them like, hey, I'm going to put you in command. I want you to do this, right? Okay, cool.
Yeah, the fate of humanity rests on you keeping him safe.
But
so
the one lady has
lose.
some objections, questions, and stuff.
Yeah, she questions, and what does she say?
All 3 of them do. They're all like,
well, she questions,
sure
and the other 2 are like, be quiet, stop it. And she's like, and then he says, go ahead and speak. And then she,
yeah, are you sure he's going to be able to do this? You know, his strength is unknown.
There's
We're
a
not
lot
sure
riding
what he
on
can
this
do.
kid.
A lot of unanswered questions, you know, and Pyxis again, like masterful leader stroke, is like, oh, so you like losing to Titans, huh? Oh, okay, makes sense, because I don't like losing to freaking Titans anymore.
I'm
bro.
sick of losing to Titans.
Yeah, I've been losing. He literally said, I've been losing my whole friggin' life. I hate losing, and I want to win against those giant oversized freaks.
Pyxis is a master at motivating people to do what he sees as the right thing.
Yeah.
No matter how they object.
Especially because, like,
He's right, though.
It's one thing to lose to, like, a worthy opponent. It's another thing to lose to these giant, freakish looking, like,
yeah, he does say, I'm tired of losing to those freaks.
They don't even speak. They're not intelligent. They're just giant. Like, we should be way smarter. We should be able to overcome them, and we will. We're humans. That's what we do, you know?
And again, this is like a very much like in real life. Here you are, you're in a crisis situation. Somebody comes up with a plan, and the people have objections to the plan. Like, well, there's risks with this plan. Do we know this is going to work? Blah, blah, blah. So suddenly everyone else is a strategist. Suddenly everybody else is a politician, an armchair quarterback. And they're like, well, what about this one? What about this?
Yeah. I see all these problems that you did not see.
Yeah, you got a better plan?
Give me answers.
No, that's exactly what this one is do you have a better plan? Because everything that Pyxis just said is true. Listen, this place gets overrun. We're done for anyway. You can fight and die, or you can not fight at all. And it's actually weirdly similar to Mikasa's moment with Eren. You know, Eren's getting choked. And he's like, fight. Like, if you fight, you might live. But you definitely will die if you don't choose. If you choose not to fight at all. Like, fight and you can win. Fight and you can live. But if you don't fight at all, it's certain death. In this moment, this is almost the exact same thing. Just mass scale.
Yeah. So then we have...
They do the salute. They're like, yeah, we're going to do this thing.
And we got Eren and Armin and Mikasa, and they kind of come together. And, you know, Armin says, like, Eren, sorry, I kind of put all the weight of this on your shoulder. Like, literally with the boulder on his shoulder.
Actually, yeah.
It's a bird to bed.
And then, Eren reassures Armin, hey, I
trust you and I believe in you.
Like,
yeah.
Let's go.
You have a gift for strategy.
Yeah. And Mikasa
and of course, Mikasa does what she always does, and she's like, I have to go with you.
Eren,
I can't leave you.
And Eren does what he's
Eren always does, and he's like, I'm not your child. I'm not your little brother.
Yeah, leave me alone.
It's not your job to keep me alive.
Leave me alone, you freaking punk. And she's like, but. And then the commander's like, hey, Mikasa, you're with Eren.
You're there.
You're with the elite group. You're coming to be Eren's backup. And then
the look on her face when they assign her, like, Mikasa, you're protecting Eren. They pan to her, and she's just like so pleased, like, oh yes, to risk my life for Eren.
If there was any cheese in this show at all, her eyes would have turned to hearts. Like,
yeah.
So Eren's pissed.
I'm surprised they don't.
And Mikasa has to come. And Mikasa is like, this is what I live for, you know, to be next to Eren, to protect Eren.
Eren doesn't even really react. He just kind of like shoves all of his emotions down inside, and he like steel faces and goes.
It's like in junior high when your teacher like it has like assigns like groups for group projects, and like you get assigned to be in a group with your crush, and you're like, really? That's what I've always wanted.
And they're just like, oh my gosh, why?
Yeah. So they all begin to run with their bodyguard troop, right? So you got Mikasa and the top 3, you know, garrison guys, and maybe 1 or 2 other people, and Eren, who is the icon, who is the weapon, right? And they begin to run along the outside of the wall
to get into position.
While all these people are luring all the Titans towards this corner.
And they're literally like, all these Titans are just like slapping the wall.
Ooh, some fresh,
and like
juicy
Armin
human
and
meat.
several other people are like strung down on their Spider-Man pants, just like inches away from their slapping hands and drooling mouths.
Human meat?
They could
just the human meat.
They could just rename the show "Large Zombies" and it would be adequate.
True. It's true.
They get all the way. And as they're running along, there's this dialogue going on between the elite, garrison people and Eren. And one of them is like, man, what a stupid brat to be trusted with all of humanity. Like, why does he have to be the
And Mikasa's like,
powerful
she's
one?
deeply offended in her soul.
And then, they're saying like, hey, man, a lot of things are riding on you right now. You better not freaking screw it up. And then, what's her name? Rico. Yeah.
Rico.
She basically starts like really laying into Eren.
She's the blonde Hanji.
She kind of is.
She's a little more reserved, but she says, a lot of people are going to die today because of this plan that you're involved in. Like a lot of our friends, your seniors, officers, and they're not just pieces in a game. They're blood and their guts. They're human. They're flesh. They have hopes and they have dreams. This is all on you. You can't screw this up. Like the responsibility of this rides on you being able to do this thing that Pyxis just pulled out of his butt and made up, to be able to do. Just convinced.
Wait, I blame Armin.
No, they pulled it out of Armin's butt, actually.
Pyxis dusted it off and was like, look at this great thing that we got here, So you have a responsibility. And it kind of goes back to what is our responsibility as humans, right? Mm-hmm. To the race of humanity. Like it's
exactly the same thing as what Pyxis was saying earlier. Like, you've got
make their lives count.
Yeah, make it worth something. You got a lot of people, like 250,000 people went out there and died so that you could live. Like, do something in their sake. Like, do something for their like to make it worth something. Like, you have something to fight for, and just remember. And so she's doing that here. She's like, remember they have names.
Yeah,
they're real
and then
flesh
she
and blood
names
humans.
some of them.
This is why you should go do what you're about to do. And Pyxis was doing that same thing earlier. Here's why. Here's the motivation. Here's why you should go take this risk right now.
I think the thing that got me was when she says, all these people are doing this for you.
Yeah.
They're all dying for you.
Yeah, she like names her names. And
yeah,
like,
people that I know, some of them since they were in cadet training. And then she starts naming them.
Yeah.
And saying all of them
too.
are dying for you.
And it's just a powerful sentiment.
I can't even imagine what that would feel like to have people literally putting their lives on the line for me to accomplish something.
But it's something that we could look at. Like, okay, who are our grandparents who went and fought in the wars? Who are our ancestors who gave their lives in the revolution, who gave their lives, in this war, that, to fight against tyranny, to stand up for what was right? All those people died so we could have a better tomorrow, right? And so we need to take that time that they've given us and not just lounge around and, eat Cheetos. Like, let's do something powerful with our lives to honor the sacrifice of the people who have come before us, people in, all walks of life who have sacrificed their lives for something. And I think that's a really powerful sentiment. Just even now, even without someone specifically saying, "Hey, Pete, I died so you could do this thing," all of our ancestors, in America have. Or if you're in England or if you're in France,
all the people that died in World War II
fought to fight against tyranny, to stand up for what was right, to free people, and so we need to be taking the sacrifice they've given us and run with it. And that's what the sentiment is there. And Eren says, I will do it, right? And he's got this, boom,
determination.
He's set his indomitable will on one thing. I'm going to lift this friggin' rock, right? So what I'm going to do, they get to the spot, they shoot the smoke, green, they're all in position, and the Pyxis, kind of finishes up, and he says, for all of, our lives, Titans have moved forward, and humanity has retreated. We've always given up space. And even if,
lost.
Even if we survived, it wasn't that we won. It was just we survived, right?
Right.
But I want a victory, right? Today is the first time that man will be victorious. Today is the first time. One small step will be giant for mankind if we can take back land. Because if we can take back this land, not only can we protect all of humanity right now from dying, but maybe we can take back the next wall.
Yeah.
Momentum is momentum.
And
once you get forward momentum, it can get bigger.
That's right. Maybe we can go beyond the wall. And we already know what's in the next wall, the basement, right?
Give me that basement.
We got to get to that basement. We got to find out.
Give me that freaking basement. So, I got to get there.
Everything is in there.
So he's like, this is so important for mankind. This is our opportunity for victory, right? And this scene where Mikasa, as they're running, she looks at Eren and she's kind of realizing like Eren has like can he even lift this boulder? And she's like, Eren has an undiscovered strength inside of him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that they cut to that clip where it's actually such a cool because like Pyxis is delivering the speech in the background of Eren and Mikasa like
Spider-Man flying through
doing the ODM like gear through the city or whatever, and it's just such a cool because he uses a lot of 3D effects, like visually one of the most satisfying. It is
really, really cool actually.
Yeah, cool little sequence, and they have like Pyxis like speech in the back about whatever humanity, and this is our chance to have our first victory, and then he like a boss freaking jets in there, bites his finger, transforms, blows up.
The orange and green lightning shoot out of the sky, and the explosion, and then all the people turn.
And there he is, and he's like,
and he transforms and like crashes into a building and just decimates it.
Yeah.
But then you see the size of the boulder. You mentioned this already. You see the size of the boulder compared to him, and it's like,
yeah, he stands up and his like body is steaming in front of it, and he like, rah! And then you realize the boulder's taller than him, and it's really wide.
And that's when Mikasa says, like, it seems impossible from a human perspective to move this, but I believe Eren has an undiscovered strength.
Yeah.
And then
almost as if he can hear her thoughts.
Eren pivots on a dime and throws a haymaker
and punches her through the roof.
Man, and we've all been waiting 11 episodes for this moment, for Eren just to finally give
You're
one
like
good
hoping
one.
He's going to bend down and pick up the boulder, but instead he turns just...
Let me tell you, this show takes some twists and turns. We aren't going to spoil anything.
Why, God, why?
We thought with the whole beating of the children theme, early on with the guards, we thought the violence was over. But no, as soon as I get massive Titan strength, the first thing I do is haymaker, just some random girl, is behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Not just any girl, like, even though Eren is kind of a turd, he cares about her a lot.
Absolutely.
She matters to him.
So
she is the woman that matters the most to him, one might say, and he punches her right in the face.
But we don't know what the heck's going on. Everything's freaking out, and it's to be continued.
Yep.
And it's a crazy cliffhanger.
It's like the worst cliffhanger
What's going on? What's happening? And the episode's over. And so, great episode.
I feel like every episode is the worst cliffhanger ever, though. Yes, every time I'm like, no.
Right now, we're definitely in a series of events where we're kind of ramping up to see like what's going to happen. Is Eren going to be able to fill this wall? What are they going to be able to fight against these Titans inside the wall? Are they going to have a victory?
Yep, we're still in the struggle for Trost,
and we're not going to find out this episode. So,
all right. So with that, we gotta get a few spoilers in there. If you are enjoying the podcast, don't forget to hit us up on iTunes, which I think is just called Apple Podcast now. I'm still not sure about that.
Apple
anyway,
Podcast.
Spotify, all those things. Leave us a 5-star review. Talk about how awesome we are. It's a great way to support the show. You can find us on Patreon if you want more sweet, cool stuff like special content. We're still working on the merch thing. I haven't heard back from the people, but anyway, by the time you're listening to this, go check the links, in the show description. YouTube, Facebook, go find us there. Go watch. If you're just listening, you can watch these. Heck, you're quarantined right now. Come on. Coronavirus, you're at home anyway. You may as well watch them. You can backlog all those episodes. Anything else I'm forgetting to say?
Email us.
Email us.
beyondthebasementpodcast.
beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com. We will A, email you back, and B, we want to hear other people's theories, and especially if you're a first timer, what are your theories right now? Or if you remember your first time watching the show, what was going through your mind in this particular episode?
Please share.
I think it's some of the most interesting stuff to hear.
Some ideas for our Patreon subscribers are we're going to have some interviews, hopefully with some first timers and what they were thinking and kind of what they were going through.
Oh yeah, it's going to be.
Might share some of that here.
It's going to be legit. Anyway, all right, yeah. So go find us on Patreon. Go find us on those places. Also, if you don't want to know what happens, you don't want to know spoiler stuff, you should turn your stinking phone off.
Spoiler alert.
Right now, if you're one of those 5 people who listen to a podcast on your computer, turn it off there. There's a pause button for a reason. All right. We love you guys.
Pause
3, 2, 1.
Oh,
spoilers is
Pete was wearing
a shirt under
his
there.
plaid shirt
So, all right, first spoiler.
It's getting spicy in here.
Yes, it is. Pyxis sees what we. Yeah, I know. Should I take my shirt off? Is that not appropriate?
You don't have anything underneath this.
How do you know?
I mean, I don't.
Okay. Well, I can surprise everyone. Okay, so Pyxis sees what we can't see. This is the first line. So the spoiler, we kind of already alluded to this, but the hint here is, which I didn't put this together the first time watching this through. Pyxis sees what we can't see, which is that Pyxis. It's as if Eren understands how kind of clever, or that Pyxis has
bird's eye view,
more intuition, like he can put things together quickly. He's already comprehended, because I think in the last episode, Eren has already comprehended. We were talking about this, that Eren now comprehends that, wait, I can transform into a Titan, therefore other people can do this.
Titans are human.
It's not obvious, but clearly, okay.
At least some Titans are humans. The ones who look different and who are intelligent.
The abnormal ones.
Those are being controlled by a human. And that's what, his dad was hiding.
Well, also, if you think about it, you realize that, and then you think about the Colossal Titan and the Armored Titan and what they've done. It's very clear those were strategies, which means someone outside the wall is human and does strategy.
Yeah.
Or we don't necessarily know at this
juncture
there's
outside
Titans,
the wall. And we know Titans are human.
Yeah, we don't know outside the wall.
We just know that there's enemies that aren't just the mind-numb Titans.
Yes.
And that's freaky.
The fact that they're smart, that they are humans, that they can disguise themselves. I think that's one of the big things, that they can look like they're a person, which we know is, in this case, there's literally 4 of them just in the freaking cadets there with Eren.
What a crazy group of cadets this year, man. I'll tell you what.
Let me tell you about this class.
Oh, yeah, they cut to Ymir, and she's just, standing there,
that's the next one I was going to get to, is Connie...
when he's
did I mishear him? And Ymir's like, shut up, listen to what he's saying. He doesn't give any...
Friggin' Ymir.
She knows it all.
That statement there is really true, not just here, but Eric, but that Pyxis sees things that we don't see. And that's been the truth for a long time. And you'll see the theme of the government mainly is inept, like all governments, and there's a few specific gems. Commander Erwin, Levi, Pyxis, Hanji, who know what's going on and are actually good, and they're trying to put things together, and they're kind of working a master plan to try to figure out as much information as we possibly can and to save humanity. And it's kind of the same realization, I think, when you get to Kenny in the late seasons.
Yeah.
Kenny!
Why do they have equipment that's made for killing humans?
Right.
It's Eren, why would we ever need to try to fight against humans?
Why do we have guns that are small?
Yeah. What is that? Oh, because your enemy is not just a giant Titan.
Yeah, your enemy is, and it's interesting because
the truth is not just the Titans.
How wide that statement actually goes is broader than anyone knows, because you've kind of got all right, an enemy. You almost just have an enemy individually in Bertolt and Reiner, and then you have another enemy in Ymir in a way. You definitely have an enemy in Annie. They're all their own, just by themselves, they're kind of their own specific threats, let alone an enemy in the Beast Titan.
Then enters Zeke, the Beast Titan.
Yeah, you have an entire enemy in, societal enemy in Marley, and then you have, the enemies within. You have the government people who are the founding
Lord
Titan.
Rice.
Interior,
Rod Rice. The enemies are various and large and strong, and there's
seems like the
lot.
whole world's against them.
There's a lot going against them. It's interesting because you start the show and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much going against Eren and humanity, and these Titans are crazy and blah blah blah. But you don't even know the half of how much is actually against them.
You don't even know.
I actually feel like I've been through a battle when we got to season 3. I'm like, I'm so exhausted.
I'm so tired.
Everyone sucks.
If you wanted to know the truth, get outside the walls and fight Titans, everyone hates you.
It's really quite a thing to do any of that.
Yeah.
So then this kind of leads into the next little spoiler part where Pyxis is saying oh, well, it's said that, before the Titans ruled that humans fought against each other and they had different races and creeds. Well, that part is true.
Right.
Yeah.
The idea of the Titans being invented. Now, here's the thing is we've actually yet to discover this one. We don't know. He says it's naive, but is it to believe that
he says it was believed that if we could have a common enemy, mankind would unite.
And did Ymir, the actual founding Titan, when she unleashed the power of the Titans, was there something in there actually like that?
And where did she get her power from?
We don't know. A lot of mystery there.
We have so many unanswered questions.
So many.
Can't wait for season 4.
Oh my gosh, I'm scared. a little bit.
Let's see here. So I guess this is not really a spoiler, but when he actually says he's a product of cutting-edge technology and research, at that time, Eren is not, but in the future, that will be true. Because Eren has to do a lot of the Titan hardening thing.
Yeah,
his
Hanji
coordinate power.
and
all this takes
stuff.
a lot of research. I don't know if you could call it technology, but it does take a lot of it's not just discipline on Eren's part.
Yeah,
it's
Hanji
other people around him. Yeah, Hanji's research, they do figure stuff out.
And then even when they do finally get his dad's books, his research too.
Yeah.
Right, it all kind of amounts to it. Let's see here. Protect Eren, oversized freaks. I don't know. I think that's about it.
That pretty much covers it for now.
Rachel said a really good one that they didn't reveal this episode, so we didn't talk about it. But they will reveal it basically in the next episode. Is that Eren does not have full control of his Titan powers yet.
Yeah,
right.
Which means that we don't even really know the extent of his Titan powers. Period. But right now specifically. And so when he goes in Titan form, he kind of goes into this subconscious mind thing.
Oh, yeah.
Which makes his subconscious take over, and whatever he desires.
All of his primal instincts come to the surface.
And so the reason he was able to transform into a Titan the first time was because he said, I'm going to kill them all with this intensity.
Yeah, that was his determination.
A motivating
trigger,
point.
Right?
Yeah.
His trigger in the second time was to stop the cannonball.
Yeah, Armin and
his
Mikasa.
trigger now is to, I'm going to lift that boulder because you just got this rousing speech. You better
From,
not do this.
He's going to make it count. I'm going to
Yeah.
do this for everybody.
Rico didn't know she was giving him the power he needed to transform, but she was when she was like, they have names, they have fears, they have hopes. Like,
Yeah.
these
You
are the
see
people.
his face change and he gets that resolve.
His trigger was that. Soon to find out, we'll find out you cannot transform if you don't have a trigger. If you don't have a specific set, goal in your mind, you can't transform.
Yep.
And we also know that the subconscious, what you desire, what you were feeling, that translates over to your Titan power. So Eren was really pissed at Mikasa.
He's Mikasa 12 seconds
They
before
didn't resolve their conflict whatsoever. He wanted to punch her.
It's
He
dangerous to
grabbed
make
her
Eren
shoulders
mad.
right before the commander interrupted them.
Yeah, his
he was getting
subconscious
physical with her.
just punches. And I think he
Now
kind of
your little
forgets
brother.
why he's even there, what he's even doing, even though that was his trigger to start. So it's just really interesting that
He zeroes in
right
now,
on
her.
It's hard for him to put the pieces together, and then we're going to soon see how he's able to find his motivation, which was his original motivation, which was, I've got to get outside these walls.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's good stuff.
Any other spoiler points you want to make really quick?
No, I'm good
All right.
for now.
Well, with that, again, email us. Find us on friggin' Facebook. Send us your sick memes, all that stuff.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
I will throw this out there really quick. So coronavirus seems to be turning the whole world upside down, disrupting everything except for this podcast, of course. We have all washed our hands. I know we're closer than 6 feet, but just trust me, it's...
The camera adds some space.
The camera adds
actually
minus
6 feet.
6 feet, yeah.
Yeah.
It just looks like we're super close. Like, I'm not touching P right
Whoa,
now.
objects in the mirror are farther than they appear.
Further than they appear. Having said that, I just have this weird hunch that because it's been so long in between seasons anyway, that season 4 might be delayed out further than.
I will
can't
cry.
take another loss, bro.
I'm just throwing it out there. This is just
Maybe
a quick
it
prediction.
will be sooner because everybody's been trapped inside and they've just been animating like
Well,
crazy.
it's not hard to just be animating right now, bro.
And I don't know how hard Japan
Like
has
the
been.
wind.
It seems like they have not had it as bad as. I mean, the Asian countries in general, so Korea and Japan, seem to have been handling it
They
better.
wear masks and they already socially
Yeah,
distance.
right. They're kind of already a little more prepared than we were. So we shall see. But I have this sneaking suspicion that this puts the show out a little bit further. So I'm putting that prediction on record right now. Hopefully I'm wrong, but that is all I have to say about that.
If we run out of episodes, we'll have to switch to a different show.
Yeah, we'll switch. We'll find something else.
There are other options.
Anyway, we love you guys. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for watching and listening. We will see you next time.
God bless.
Bye. Thanks again for watching and listening. If you're enjoying the show, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. If you're really loving it and you want some extra cool content, you can join our Patreon page over at patreon.com/beyondthebasementpodcast. Check the show notes or our social media pages for links to some really rad Attack on Titan merch. All right, guys. See you next time.